All right, welcome to the show, everybody, to Who Knows What with Mahesh and Friends. That's the unofficial title for the show right now. So today we have Andy. Andy, hello. Can you hear us?
Greetings. Yeah. Thanks so much for inviting me to do this, Mahesh.
Hey, you're welcome, man. It's an honor. So I don't know if you know, but I've been following you for quite a bit in your journey. I'm a fan, as I know. There's a lot of people out there who actually are also fans. That we all talk about you. So you're doing great work, man. And it piqued my interest to know more about how you got started on this journey. You recently went to Ukraine, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And you were doing some rituals that was like witchcraft. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. No, but to somebody who doesn't know what you're doing, that's probably what they would term it, right? But it's actually a very deep spiritual practice that's done in India. And you are I guess you studied this, or you?
Yeah. The Homa Therapy, Homa, Homa.
Right.
Just means, fire ceremony, yagya of ancient Indian, Vedic, Ayurvedic wisdom and teaching.
Okay.
And similar to, Mahesh, you and I know each other not directly through the transcendental meditation movement, but indirectly, friends of friends, through Maharishi, Mahesh, Yogi, and that whole reality here in Fairfield, Iowa, where I am based out of. And, one of the things that he was famous for, Maharishi, after teaching the Beatles to meditate, he also demonstrated that when enough people are meditating together for world peace, it will have a concrete effect.
That ties into everything we're learning now about frequencies, and because there's a whole movement now coming around to that understanding of frequencies and sound and vibration, and how we're affected physiologically by all these things. And Western medicine has done a really bang up job of trying to like separate everything and put everything in boxes, rather than taking the understanding that everything is connected, right? Which is kind of what we understood, at least what I understood when I got into Ayurveda years ago, was that in the East, it's so weird that we have to say the East and the West, right? Because it's the same earth we live on. But it's kind of the paradigms that we've been reduced to in whenever we're trying to identify the origin or the source of certain things. But I think the understanding that everything is connected is finally coming around in our culture, where, I mean, it's the everyday conversation. You go everywhere, people are talking about frequencies and how linked everything is, and we're all one, right? I hear it a lot when I go out. I'm assuming you do too. Yeah.
More and more. Yeah. It's a more common knowledge than ever.
And so I was making jokes earlier because I'm that's me. I'm always trying to crack a joke here when I can. But for those who don't know, the fire is like a form of purifying or purification to cleanse whatever bad juju, if you will, that's in the area or in the world, so to speak. And it's a practice that's been done for thousands of years in many cultures around the world. And it's taken different forms, right? But it's more or less the same end or intention. I don't know if I'm using the right word, to sort of cleanse and purify whatever negative effects might be going on in the world or your environment at the time. Am I kind of pinpointing the practice?
That's well paraphrased,
right?
Well, there's it's neat. One of the neat things, with the Homa therapy, the fire ceremonies, and then transcendental meditation, is that they both kind of they both very much concretely demonstrate that by shifting kind of the vibration, if you will, like you're referring to, but the state of being of the atmosphere of your surroundings. If you bring peace and heightened consciousness and love, compassion, sincerity to a situation, the atmosphere actually molecularly, physically, nuclearly responds.
I agree.
And so in case of transcendental meditation, they demonstrated, for instance, that you could lower, if you had enough people meditating together, you could lower crime and, even possibly lower violence in war situations and things. Heighten the vibrational level of a situation, bringing in positivity.
Right.
And so the homas, the fire ceremonies, were proven to actually clear nuclear radiation. A farmer in Austria was supposedly, legend has it that there was a farmer in Austria after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986.
Right.
And the farmer was regularly practicing these fire ceremonies and then spreading the ash around the property and integrating it into the feed of his cows, and was able to, supposedly they demonstrated that it was completely neutral of any radioactive pollution.
Wow, that's
as opposed to his neighbors who were pretty contaminated.
Right. I suppose, yeah, you're sort of like burning radiation, or fire would probably burn off a certain portion of and the ash also mixing back into the soil. I'm sure there's some chemistry there, but something. But it's a cool story. Is that a story from that side of the world, from that area?
Right. Supposedly that happened in Austria. There's an interestingly large Homa Therapy Agnihotra community in Europe, Eastern Europe. In Poland is basically the international headquarters of Agnihotra, of the lineage of Shree Gajanan Maharaj. Then through his disciple Shree Vasant. And the people, I think the most known lineage of Agnihotra is through Shree Vasant's lineage.
Okay.
And so his people actually have an Ecovillage in Poland. There's a fair amount of people in like Europe and Germany, Poland, a few even in Ukraine.
Yeah.
That I got connected with.
It's interesting. A lot of people from that side of Europe that I've met seem to have a very strong interest in Vedic knowledge and Vedic practices and stuff, which is interesting because the majority of people I've met from that region, whether it's Austria, Poland, and even Ukraine, around that area, they all seem to gravitate towards more Eastern traditions, right? If that's a good word.
Yeah, surprisingly large amount of people in those areas are into yoga, meditation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, how did you get the idea to go to a war zone with bullets flying and bombs exploding and do your practice? Like, how did that come about?
There were regular bombing warnings, air raid warnings.
Oh, wow. So you were in it for real.
Text almost daily.
Wow.
They'd tell you to hit the basement.
Wow.
But I was in a smaller area, so I was never totally, the larger areas are the ones being more, attacked.
Right. Okay, so like walk us through your mindset. Like what made you think, you know what, I'm going to go to a war zone, I'm going to do this spiritual practice, and that's it, I'm in. And then you just jumped on a flight and you went, correct?
Yeah. So it kind of relates to how the Maharishi transcendental meditation effect would say that if we had enough people meditating,
we
would actually stop, lower the violence in the war or lower crime. As soon as I learned that kind of a theory like the Maharishi effect,
the frequency thing,
and then I learned that this fire ceremony, Agnihotra, and Homa Therapy could potentially purify the densest pollutants of an atmosphere chemically. I immediately kind of put 2 and 2 together and thought, well, if we can purify an atmosphere so drastically and so thoroughly,
right,
I believe it'll be like the Maharishi effect, where when there's a larger amount of people in an area that are at peace, at deep peace within themselves through meditation or whatever, that will radiate out, it will ripple out, and the surrounding area, the atmosphere will benefit, including the people, including lowering crime, including heightened creativity and happiness and health through people that aren't meditating, who are just in the atmosphere of the meditators.
Yeah.
So as soon as I learned that you could actually chemically purify nuclear radiation from an atmosphere, and I learned the Agnihotra practices in 2016, 15, and immediately I was inspired to check out Chernobyl, of course, the worst nuclear disaster in history.
Right.
I was like, well, somebody should be doing this in Chernobyl, was my first thought when I learned this practice could purify nuclear radiation. So I went to Fukushima in 2015 and 16. Yeah.
Man, you're the radiation man. I got we'll nickname you the radiation man because you're going right in it, man. You know.
Yeah. If it works, if this is really working, we need to be
neutralizer.
Going,
yeah.
You know. These are the trigger. I'm a massage therapist also.
Wow. Okay.
So I follow the body's signals.
Right.
And when something hurts, it's a signal, it's a message.
Yeah.
From the nervous system and spirit telling you where to focus, where it needs love, where it needs attention now, where it needs therapy now. Telling us when things like Fukushima happen, she's telling us, please go here now with all your love and healing power, you know? And so Fukushima was the first project I did. And there were some interesting results with soil samples in the Homa Therapy. Interestingly, lower levels of radioactivity in the soil samples and water samples after being exposed to Homa Therapy.
Also, you're gathering data as you're going along to build your case. Like as you do these practices, you're actually trying to gather a lot of your data and get it tested to sort of like prove out your thing.
Yeah, I could be doing way better. I could be doing a lot more of that.
Okay. So,
but I do it to a degree.
So have you considered offering like packages where people can travel with you and do this with you?
Ось тут бере початок річка Прип'ять, на честь якої назвали місто, яке нині вважається мертвим. І саме цю локацію неподалік Шатських озер священною вважає американець, який чи не щодня приходить сюди молитися. Цей ритуал називається Агніхотра. Більше про нього загадковий іноземець розповідає мені вже при знайомстві. Енді, уродженець Сполучених Штатів Америки, переконаний, Агніхотра може допомогти усьому світу. Це вогняний ритуал, який ще з давніх давен на сході чи на заході сонця проводили індуси. Аби розвести полум'я, потрібні особливі інгредієнти.
Це висушений коров'ячий послід, повністю висушений. Інші інгредієнти – це ґі, очищена вода і органічний коричневий рис.
Усе це Енді розпалює у спеціальному мідному котлі, що має форму піраміди. В процесі ритуалу читає мантри і називає це медитацією.